Hello, everyone. Welcome to Interview Friday. Yes, today is Interview Friday. It is the 299th episode of Lunch Therapy, so welcome everybody. On Tuesday of next week, we'll be celebrating the 300th episode at noon on Tuesday. As always, we'll be there. This show is held together by pumpkin rinds and hummingbird saliva, so it's amazing, I think, that we've gotten to the 300 mark, so that will be something really exceptional, I think. But today, yes, Ganesh, we made it. Hoy, Mark. Mark is there here all the way from the UK. He's been in the room making some new music, from what I understand. It's hummingbird time. Hey, Howard Aronin is here, the outstanding comedian, the darling of comedy. But today is a very special day because we have international superstar Judd Nelson on the show today, live. And if you have any questions, please chime in the chat room. We've got a good crowd here today. That's very nice of you. Cults of the hummingbird. Hummingbird saliva is super sweet, by the way. Yeah, it is. That's for sure. So let's get into the show because we got a lot to cover. Here we go. Hey, Guy Fly. I'm gonna get myself a modem. 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 But first, as always, we got to breathe, right? Because that's one of the most important aspects of the show. So we got to get 3 deep breaths. Behind me, I have a lighthouse from the great state of Maine. My guest today is from the great state of Maine, so that's very appropriate. First breath in through the nose, out through the toes. Hold it. Let it go. My guest is Judd Nelson. He is in the green room right now with Boney. Hopefully Boney's not going to scare him off.
Echoes.
Hearing echoes. Are you hearing echoes?
I'm hearing it twice.
Uh-oh. Do you need some headphones,
like
perhaps?
Echo. Like a 10 seconds echo.
Really? Do you have YouTube on by any chance? That might be echoing. Is that possible? Or maybe even headphones. Maybe we might have to...
Did earlier.
Oh, yeah, maybe that's what it is. Probably it. In through the nose. We'll do our breathing here. In through the nose, out through the toes. That's Judd in the green room. We're helping him with technical difficulties. Let it go. Mark says, I hear that in Maine is famous for its lobster.
Yes.
That's what they say. Have you ever seen the film Lobster, Judd?
I know, but I know about the film.
It's a good one.
Yeah, because I'm from Maine, I thought I was better.
Yeah, you'd think. All right, in through the nose, out through the toes. One more time. Hold it. I hope you're breathing, Judd, because breath is life, life is breath. All right, let's get into this thing with the live guest on Interview Friday. All right. Judd Nelson here live.
Hello, Joel.
Hi, it's so great to have you here on the show. It's an amazing treat to have you here. I'm glad we got the echo solved.
Yes, thank you very much. I'm glad to be here.
You know, I've been doing some research on you. We've known each other for, I think, maybe 15 years, if you can believe it. Yeah, 15 years. And I decided to really take some time and do some research. I mean, you and I had a one-way relationship when I was in high school because you were in this film called The Breakfast Club. And so I knew you from that and saw your career rise. But I didn't realize something about you because you're like the nicest person I know and you're such a good friend.
Well,
that,
thank you.
yes, of course. Thank you. But the thing is, you were like a bad boy or something. You had this image, I think, that was, I don't know whether it was put on you or whether it was something you cultivated. But like, I watched this interview with Arsenio Hall where they said that you were the most outspoken actor of your generation, controversial. Is that something that perhaps you cultivated, or is it because your first character right out of the gate was the bad boy, the rebel?
Yeah, I think it's a acting is a profession of illusions.
Oh, it
And if
is.
you do your job
Yeah,
simply and cleanly enough, you can be confused with what you
I
have
think it's
created.
true.
Now,
I
it's
think it's true.
rare for the baker to be confused with the cake,
That
but
makes
it's
a lot of
easy
sense.
to confuse Sean Connery with James Bond,
Yeah,
right? So, you
because
know, my mom always says if you can't stand the heat, get out of the kitchen. So,
yeah.
it's not going to be easy. You know, it's not as many opportunities, and there's a lot of people that want them. So, it's going to be a little bit of a balancing act, and you just, you got to jump in with both feet and see what happens.
Thing about you too is you really studied acting with one of the great acting teachers, Stella Adler. Can you tell us about that? Was that before Breakfast Club or was that
Oh yeah,
after?
absolutely. Yes, much before. It was great studying with her and the other teachers at the school because they're very rigorous, and if you can work with them, yeah, you can work with anyone. You know,
Yeah.
you know
What?
that.
Yeah. Do you have a? Did you get a method that you use or some kind of a process that you have when you? I know you've done so many films, and I'm sure your process has evolved. And it's been, I think it's been like 4 decades of you acting consistently. Did you?
I
Do you
think
have a process that you've developed?
I think it's always developing. Like whatever I thought did work a little bit, I hope works a little better next time. And there's always things that I problems I did not solve. Um, I think that all the answers can be found in the script, in the good scripts, and that the more I read it, the more is revealed to me, and the easier it is
Interesting.
to just simply fit in like in a Swiss watch, be the tooth on that wheel that turns at precisely the right time.
That's interesting. So, do you read the script multiple times while you're making a movie?
Yeah, yeah.
You do.
Because sometimes it's not like a play. It's rarely shot in sequence, so you have to figure out where you are before every scene. And I'd rather just start at page one and figure out where I am. So every time I would read it every day, start at page one and just read it.
Wow. You know, I
Well,
think
it makes it easier to
Anthony.
know your lines, and it's easier to know other people's lines as well. You're not going, "Wow, was it? Am I supposed to say my line?" Then it's like, "Wow," and you're out there like, "Wow, surfing without a board." That's kind of hard.
Yeah, you know, I was recently in a short film where we were in a jury room. There were 12 of us. And I think a lot of people that were in the scene realized you have to really know what the other people are saying because when your line comes around, you got to be ready. And sometimes people don't realize that. So having a feeling of the whole script, plus you oftentimes shoot out of sequence.
Absolutely. I mean, it's very rare that the first scene you shoot in a film is the first one that will appear in the movie later. Almost never happens. You just shoot where they have that location and for what day. And those actors work that day, and you only have 12 hours to get 3 scenes, and you're like, that's crazy. We have a car wreck in there. That's right. We're starting now. It's like just, so it's really, COVID's interesting because 100 years of making films, we've learned how to make them fast and cheap. And that's not the way to fight COVID. Fast and cheap's not going to work with that. So, ooh.
We have a recommendation from one of our people to say, turn Judd up a little. Oh, maybe if you move into the screen a little, that'd be great. So we want to hear this. So,
Seldom do they tell me to get louder.
so there was a time when you got this part with a John Hughes movie. And did you know that that movie was going to be as mainstream as it is while you were making it? The Breakfast
We
Club?
didn't know that it was going to end up being a commercially successful film. We all the actors involved in it liked that script a lot right away.
Yeah.
And he gave us the opportunity to read all the earlier drafts and to make suggestions about stuff from other drafts and put it into the shooting draft. He was a real collaborator, not just in that, oh yes, oh yeah. No, he wanted us involved, and he treated us like, equals.
That was he was a unique individual because he produced so many films, he wrote so many scripts, he directed so many films. What was he like to work with? What do you think was the key to his creativity and also the way he connected with people?
Well, I think that he was really the first filmmaker to see someone who was young, but not see them as being less. I mean, the only thing he saw them as less old, but not less thinking, feeling, worrying human beings that have hopes and dreams. And it's like we kind of forget that high school was a pretty serious time for a lot of us.
Yes.
A really kind of depressing time, and dreams are smashed, etc. First love, lost love, who knows what happens. And I think you ignore the trials and tribulations of adolescence at your own peril. You'll have Columbine. If that's what you have got to listen to these things they are going through. And I think it was Ali Sheedy's suggestion, that first quote from David Bowie at the beginning of the movie. That was Ali's idea. These children that you spit on. It's like this notion. And Hughes just saw them as young humans, not kids who should be talked down to.
And on the set, was there improvisation? There's a lot of things in the movie that seem like they might have been improvised. Like there's the scene where you're crawling through the air ducts and you tell that joke. Was that improvised?
Yeah, they in the script. I just crawl through the air vent and fall through. Mm-hmm. And so we did that, and I asked John if maybe I could tell a joke, and right before I get to the punchline, I fall through the roof. So we tried to figure out the line that was already shot. I forgot my pencil. Could we start with that punchline and reverse engineer a joke? And we tried for about half an hour, and that's all the time. He was like, no. So I said, let me just wing it. So he goes, okay, I'll let you wing it. So we go through it, and I tell a very X-rated joke. It's gonna break it's just horrible. It's every swear word in the world. It's just incredibly nasty. And I fall through the roof, and he was just like, no. And I go, I know, that was really just for me.
Never asked Judd to tell a joke.
Just do one more. And he goes, this is it, just one more. And I'm like, okay. So I just told that joke. There never was a punchline. It had the elements like naked blonde, poodle, salami, whatever, bar. It's like, and no punchline. Because
there was no punchline? It was not an actual joke?
No, I just made it up there, and there is no punchline. I just made up the setup and then walked away from it.
Basically, it's a nude blonde woman walks into a bar with a 2-foot sausage and a poodle. She sets the poodle down on the bar, and the bartender says,
and then I go through it. Yeah, and that's it. That's it. So it's just like, lead it up to there, and then like fall through. And oftentimes, promoting the film afterwards, people would say, "Hey, what's that punchline? I mean, what's the joke?" And I go, there isn't a punchline. And they'd be like, I knew you were a jerk. And I'm like, no, I'm telling you, there wasn't one. It wasn't.
I'm sure people have come up with them on the internet by now. You never worked with John Hughes again after that, or did you?
No, I never did. I always assumed, crazily, that we would one day, that was like one step.
Yeah.
The Breakfast Club was one, and then there would be a second. It just seemed to be more complete.
Do you think there'll ever be a sequel?
I don't know how it's possible without him.
I see.
It's like, yeah, but it wouldn't be anything like that. It would be, kind of like desperate to, evoke some spirit that only he had. You can't, it's kind of crazy. It's like Pet Cemetery. You can't bring back that dead dog. It's not going to be the same dog. Right?
Yeah. But I would imagine there are some people that might connect the same way that he does, that might be able to do it. Maybe some.
Yes, yes, absolutely. And then they could expand the notion of inclusion in this group.
Yeah.
You don't have to have all of them be of one kind of white,
Yeah, perhaps. So I have a picture here. There they all are.
Man, I'm that kid's dad.
You're that kid's dad now. Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you ever, after that, so you just blew up after that, right? You were just like an international superstar. What was that like? Was it hard for it not to go to your head, to get all that kind of attention all at once like that, right out of the
Well, I
gate?
think that, I mean, maybe we're born with X amount of grace. And I think we're lucky if when our life is done, we have any left at all.
Mm.
We seem to play loose and easy with our grace, and I don't think it's replaceable. People can help you save what you have left.
Mm.
You can help yourself save what you have left, but you can't get
Yeah.
any more once you let that go. And I think that, the price you pay, the metaphoric price you pay to the devil for something. This idea, when I first came out here, I couldn't get a job because I didn't have a name. And I was like, wait, I have a name?
I have a
My
name.
parents named me. Just had no idea what they were talking about. It's like,
Yeah.
So it's a difficult thing.
But you got a name like that.
And then you wonder,
Yeah.
I mean, I think I, anyway, was better equipped to deal with failure than success. Meaning, growing up in my family, it's like, if at first you don't succeed, try and try again.
Yeah.
Nose to the wheel, shoulder, to the grindstone. But when things go well, it's like, do I believe that really just happened? Am I making this up? And then
Oh, interesting.
you get like, it's like they made us into a gang or something, which was kind of
Yeah.
cool.
So they all of a sudden were calling you the Bratt Pack, and you were in New York. They were in Los Angeles.
Yeah,
Most
I
of
tend
them,
not to
right?
go 3,000 miles for a beer. That's
So it was like a mythology that was created that all of you were hanging out doing wild stuff, just
I
being
think
all
it's like-
nuts.
I think that if you were to have written an article about the actors in the Big Chill while they were shooting it, you might draw the conclusion that they were the best of friends. They had every meal together. Well, yeah, they did. They're all working together for 3 months. So it's like, it's this very specific set of conditions that makes it look like a certain way. And by the way, what do these people do for a living? Oh, they pretend they're other people.
Yeah.
Well, okay. I mean,
It's interesting.
it's not
So
like
St. Elmo's Fire, then you were in that with a lot of the Bratt Pack folks, and that probably
I tell ya-
continued that mythology, right?
Well, I'll tell you, all the people that I worked with from my generation, they were all great. They were all on time. They all knew their lines. They were all encouraging. They wanted other people to succeed. We all liked each other. So it seems strange that you could paint such a wide stripe
Yeah.
across the backsides of so many without having any understanding or context. I don't know about those other people, but it's hard to have good friends in this world. It's a tough world,
Yeah.
and the idea that someone could go out of their way to make sure you didn't have certain friends that just seems sad, you know?
Yeah. There's that's one thing about you, Judd, is you're like a really good friend. And that's one of the things that's super important about living in Los Angeles, don't you think? Is having a circle of friends that you can trust, because
Yes,
this world is so
it's
bizarre.
a hard thing because the myth is that every film is like a family. You get real close and it's all wonderful, and then everyone goes their separate ways. They have jobs somewhere else. So it's the myth that there's this togetherness, when in fact there's same as every other job everywhere in the world. There's some togetherness and there's some dissidence. There's some cruelty. There's some helping other people. For the most part, people help themselves, it seems.
Mm.
And that's not always a great thing. I think we are as good as our weakest link. I think we are nothing without community. I mean, it's sad that that same philosophy that Julius Caesar used like 2,000 years ago, divide and conquer. It's the same thing.
Yeah, it's
just
the same thing.
And I just feel bad because it seems every day those that have the least get treated the worst.
Mm-hmm.
It just shouldn't be that way.
Did you?
Anyway, talk about going off the rails there.
No, it's good. It's good. Well, it's therapy. We're in lunch therapy here.
Thank you. Yes.
So this is all super important. So did you make a conscious decision then at that point when you had that kind of fame, and you still do? Did you decide I want to play some different kind of characters? Did you have, and what kind of people did you have around you advising you on what to do next?
It's like I think it was Katharine Hepburn that said, you have to, and work creates work.
Mm-hmm.
So you have to keep working to keep working. So you don't want to not do what it is you do for free.
Mm-hmm.
You want to work on the best scripts you could find, or I did one of the, the best projects you could find, work with the best people. Part of the advantage or disadvantage of studying with someone like Stella Adler is that you realize this is not some right of yours to be able to do this. This is a privilege, and you have certain responsibilities. You have to wipe all the crap off your shoes when you go into the theater and start putting yourself in service of a bigger idea of this project. You're all working together for the same goals that are established by a writer under the direction of the director. So, I mean,
you went and you did this movie, New Jack City, which seemed like a departure from what you were doing. Was that a conscious decision to do that, or how did you get involved in that film?
The director of that project, Mario Van Peebles, who also was an actor in it, he was a classmate of mine at Stella Adler's in New York. And we were having dinner one night, and he asked me if I wanted to be involved in this project that he was directing. I was like, sure. He goes, we don't really have a role for you. We'll see what we'll find. I have some actors that haven't really worked before. It was Chris Rock's first movie, and Ice-T hadn't acted before. And boy, oh boy, I mean, these guys, you don't have to worry about those guys. They are as good as you can be. And Ice-T is an incredibly intelligent and good man. I was very impressed with him. So I was so glad to work with Mario, who's a friend.
Yeah.
And I said yes in a second. That the movie was as good as it is a testament to everyone who worked on that. And Mario was very impressive because there were a couple of times where it seemed that events were conspiring against him. Like, let's say you have 12 hours to shoot a scene, and they let you know that morning that has been changed. You now have 4 hours to shoot that scene. And Mario's kind of director gives himself like 60 seconds, thinks about it, goes to a cinematographer, and they do it. And you're just like, what just happened here?
That's the way you have to be, I guess. You have to really be able to decide.
It's like that. It was like impressive to watch. I'm glad to be involved in that project and with those really great performers and director, and I enjoyed that.
We have a really nice comment here from one of our chat people. Let Judster know that after my brother died of suicide this year, Judd helped me continue breathing and move on.
Wow.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I'm
sorry about that. I'm sorry. That sounds very, very sad.
Sometimes you don't know how you affect people in this world, which is great. And I also, don't you think that it's, as entertainers on whatever level, it's our duty in some way to put out good messages, even if, no matter what we're doing?
Yeah, I mean, I think that, I don't think you should Pollyanna it. I don't think you have to lie that things are better than they are. But I don't think that you have to remove hope in order to tell the truth. What truth is that without hope? I mean, that's like a desolate conclusion, right? So, that's not anyone's future, hopefully. So,
Howard Aronin says, Chris Rock raves in a Howard Stern interview about how Judd guided him. Do you remember this?
It doesn't need any guidance from me at all. And it's like, I was very impressed also. Ice-T, we were shooting one night, and as we were going to the building to shoot on the roof that night, a grammar school was letting out for the day. So all these kindergarten through sixth graders were coming out of the schoolhouse as we were walking on the sidewalk right by it. And they just charge Ice. They just cannot believe they're seeing him, and they line up, they want autographs. And a little boy pushes a little girl down so he can get in front of her and get an autograph. And Ice just stops the whole thing. And he just goes, hold on now. And he helps the little girl up. He tells the little boy to go to the back of the line. Little boy says, why? He says, we don't push girls. I'll be here. I'll make sure you get your autograph, but you go to the back of the line. And the boy went to the back of the line, and Ice-T signed all their autographs and waited for that boy. It was like, wow. It was like, I just saw a lesson.
Yeah.
It was like, holy moly. So that's a really good man, I says.
Mm-hmm.
You know.
That's cool. I saw an interview with you on Arsenio Hall, and he was saying that you had a letter from your mom. Do you remember this? You had a letter from your mom.
Yeah.
He came on, and she said that said it was like said to him, Judd, he talks a lot, so you have to make sure that you interrupt him. And then also, he's not funny. He has maybe a sense of humor, but he's not humorous. But then also, then Arsenio introduced you as like the bad boy of cinema, and that you said things that you were one of the most outspoken, controversial actors of the time. Was this just theater? Or was there some truth to this?
How was I controversial? I don't think I was saying anything that was controversial, really.
Yeah.
I mean, I think that sometimes you have to learn the hard way not to be a drunk idiot. That was a lesson that seemed to take a little while to sink in.
I had to learn that.
I mean, it
took me many years.
It's like, and also, someone told me once, was probably my father, saying that, you have to behave as if you have 2 strikes on you. Sometimes, not all the time, but sometimes. So you have to, instead of trying to hit a home run, you have to protect the plate. You can't make an out. You got to get on base. So it's this sense of like being aware of the situation you're in.
Yeah.
And not just Babe Ruthing it all the time.
Just Babe Ruth in it.
Because only Babe Ruth can Babe Ruth it. No one else. That's
only
it.
He can do that.
Only he can do that.
Strike for the seats all the time.
Only Keith Richards can Keith Richards. No one else. So don't even try. It's like,
Do you think that's what helped you be grounded? Was your parents? Your parents are. Do you think that's what helped you remain grounded? Was your parents? You grew up in Maine.
At all,
yeah.
It is certainly because of my parents. I think that though I am not eager to agree with them, I end up ultimately agreeing with them. My dad seems to almost always be right, and it always takes me 3 misses to agree with him. But that's not really ever gonna change. But
you can try, though. You can try.
I know the difference between right and wrong. Whether I do it or not, I know the difference, and it's because of how I was raised. And I feel bad for those people that. I think everyone thinks everyone's parents are just like theirs until they meet someone else's parents, and then you go, oh no.
I always thought that people should trade parents so that they can appreciate the good things about their parents.
Absolutely. I had to go to just, school buddy of mine, have dinner at his parents' house.
Yeah.
To change my world. I could not. That was a horrible, horrible experience. I was like, I'll take the garbage out. I'll do whatever you want. I'll clean my room. Like, woo.
They should do that, definitely.
I did not know that there were villains in like so many households,
Yeah. So, Judd, I saw this movie called From the Hip, and it was you and Elizabeth Perkins and some great actors.
John Hurt.
John Hurt. I had never seen this film, but I saw it, and you're very comedic, as if you're. How did you shift gears? I mean, Breakfast Club was more. It was comedic in ways, but it wasn't like a full-on comedy. How did you shift gears? Did you study anything about comedy, or what? Because you seem to just have a knack for it.
I think that I'm from a pretty verbal family. That pretty, there's a lot of laughter in the family. I like to laugh. Everybody likes to laugh. I think, but it's more like if you get the better a script is, the easier it is to show 3-dimensionality. It's when you can't. The great Carl Reiner line: "You can't polish a turd." You just spread it, a big mess of everything. So it's like, sorry.
What do you mean? Like if you have a bad script, you can't make it that much better? Or?
It's like you gotta just, it's like, what are you doing? Like, you're gonna get blood from a stone? You really are? Really, I don't think so. Nice try though. Good try.
That's so great. I love that. There's a movie also called The Dark Backward, which is the strangest movie I have ever seen.
What is
and you play a comedian, which is great.
Well, I play a
Uh,
garbage man. Bill Paxton and I played garbage men, and I
yeah,
moonlight as a stand-up comedian, and
yeah.
I'm not very good.
I've got a poster for that. That is a really unusual film. Um,
It's not, as they say, it's not for the squeamish.
and there you are. It's this weird
Bill
dystopian
Paxton, Wayne Newton. Wayne Newton
society.
is my agent, but
Bill Paxton is just like balls to the wall in this thing too. I mean,
I miss
he,
Bill Paxton. Bill
yeah,
Paxton, I mean, you know, Bill Paxton was a great man. He
yeah.
really was a great man. You know,
One of our viewers
he
says
had,
they love that movie. This is my friend Denis Fay that I went to high school with.
well, I'll tell you that, when I first read the script, I just loved it immediately.
Yeah,
And the writer director, Adam Rifkin, was interested in me playing the other role, the role that Bill Paxton played. And
yeah,
I was interested in playing Marty, the
hmm,
victim, not the victimizer.
yeah,
And Adam he wasn't too keen on that.
yeah,
So I said, if you can write me 10 minutes of comedy material, I'll go and perform in some comedy places, not as me, and you come see it. You see if I can, if I'm working it more toward what you think.
yeah,
So we realized that I couldn't go on in between professionals because then people would laugh because they think they're supposed to laugh.
yeah.
So I would go on like amateur nights
You would.
and wear clown white face and a red nose and tell, I guess you could call them jokes. I mean, I'm hoping to
You didn't
elicit
tell
some
me you did
laughter.
stand-up comedy. All the stand-up comedy you've come to see me do, you never told me you did it. I was like, you should get up there. You should, but you already have
Yeah,
done
but
this.
it wasn't me so much as it was that character doing
Yeah,
it.
and you're a clown essentially.
I performed one night at this place in Culver City on an amateur night,
Yeah,
and I'd always done it with the microphone in a stand, like
hmm,
it was going to be in the movie.
yeah,
So they announced me the comedy stylings of Mr. Marty Malt, and the MC hands me a microphone, and I'm just standing there holding a microphone and not moving because this is not what I plan to do.
yeah,
And this guy, Marty, is not someone that can think on his feet so well. So I just stand there forever and I notice where the mic stand is.
yeah,
It's not in the front of the stage, it's over to the right, kind of facing the wall. I put the microphone in the stand and begin my act right there, kind of
yeah,
quasi at the corner and quasi at a part of the house. And I do the entire, 5 minutes of,
yeah,
quasi jokes. No one laughs.
yeah.
No one heckles me. No one moans. It is tumbleweeds. It's absolutely fucking silent. The MC then goes, "Thank you very much, Comedy Styles and Marty Malt," and kind of guides me back and
Yeah.
off the stage. And then
That's
I said, "Adam, I
awesome.
go, are we okay now?" And he was like, "Yeah, you can do it now. You suitably suck, so you can do it." Like,
That is so cool, though. Do you generally do that when you do a character? Do you go out and do the, kind of research in that way where you actively take on whatever their profession is?
well, I think you have to use everything to rehearse for research because it's not like a play where you're all going to get together and spend weeks going over this and discussing it and learning it together and going in sequence and
Yeah.
starting at the beginning and going to the end. And if something doesn't work out, tomorrow you can try it again. It's like, no, it's all so different. So you have to, and it seems that they'll consider a cast read through
Hmm.
as a rehearsal. It's like, no. So the fact that they will think that there's too
Yeah.
big a gap.
There's so little time to rehearse in most of these things, right? I mean,
So you got to use whatever you can without breaking anyone else's process.
mhm.
You don't want to sacrifice the film for your own character. No,
Yeah.
that seems like the opposite way it should be done.
Because ultimately your job is to help tell this story in the best way
Yes,
possible.
to be as clean and transparent, translucent, an engine for the writer to make. I mean, why did the person write it in the first place? Oh, because they want to be famous, be a famous director. Oh,
No, but it's
well,
a great
then
thought
it's
to have as an actor. Is
I'm sorry?
why did this is a great thought to have as an actor that sometimes people miss, especially when they're auditioning and doing self tapes. Is like, what is the writer's intention? Not how interesting can I be, but what is the writer's intention and how can I convey this as specifically as possible?
I mean, if we look at two actors, for example, that do work that leaves precious little behind,
Yeah.
meaning in its wake. They don't leave it like, people that the expression, they have scenery in their teeth, right? They're just, scenery in your teeth is not being a part of the story.
Chewing the
It's
scenery,
you,
as it were.
right?
Yeah.
And that's like, where is that? Only in the, scene eating character study, which,
Yeah.
good work with that, So you have to make yourself serve something other than yourself, or else you miss the whole notion of a performance serving the material. Like, you think of Meryl Streep and Daniel Day-Lewis. These people can play extreme moments of characters. They can even play extreme characters. But we never say we don't recognize those human beings.
Yeah.
It seems simple.
How much do you think is the actor's job to bring themselves to the part?
Well, like Gary Cooper,
Mm-hmm.
a very well-known actor who's done some wonderful film work. People say, oh, he's always Gary Cooper.
Mm-hmm.
Well, is that some existential argument? Is he not Gary Cooper, pretending to be Gary
Right.
Cooper?
Isn't everybody?
At a certain point, it just gets so abstracted, it makes no sense, right?
Right.
So, would I cast Gary Cooper in a role like Chaplin? No. And I would be on acid to think that would be a good movie that anyone would want to watch.
Mm-hmm.
But
because
could
of
I
his skill
cast
set.
Robert Downey Jr. in anything that Gary Cooper has done? Yes.
Yeah.
So I guess I'm just doing an ad for Robert. I don't know. It's like, I don't know exactly what I'm saying, but
yeah,
I like those three: Meryl Streep, Daniel Day-Lewis,
I like
Robert
that.
Downey Jr. I can live with
Robert
that.
Downey Jr. You were close with Robert Downey Jr., right?
This is one of the most magnificent second acts in American entertainment history.
Yeah.
Certainly things in athletics we know about him, but this is just so like, what he did wrong was only to himself. He didn't hurt anyone in some, horrible way. And he has made not just an example of himself that other people can use to help themselves.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But look at that body of work.
Yeah.
It's like you go, come on. It's like you go like, it doesn't matter. He can work under any conditions, clearly. And in my life, and I've met a number of funny people. I've been fortunate to meet a number of funny people in my life. That man is, without a doubt, the funniest person I have ever met in my life.
I bet.
Yeah. Not even close. It's like the Shakespeare of funny.
That's hilarious.
As a person.
Speaking of this, okay, so you did an entire sitcom for many years. How many years? Suddenly Susan.
3 years.
3 years. And that was going along very well. Did you quit the job at that? And what made you do that?
One of the actors on the show, it took his life. So it was a shocking, horrible. We all missed it. Just
he was wildly talented too, right? Great person to work with.
I believe he was the mortar that kept the bricks together.
David Strickland, right?
Up and Up. He has a movie that just came out. It's like just horrible. And the idea that we have these parking spots at Warner Brothers, and with our names written on that cement thing we park towards, and his name was there, and then they painted over his name, and it seemed like to me like I remember having an ant farm as a kid and thinking that the ants took care of their fallen comrades better than we humans do. And it was just too, it's a sitcom. So more people knew that this young man took his own life than watched the show. So it just seemed not, maybe I was just angry at myself. I don't know. I should have been more aware. I should have been not.
I think we all feel that way when someone, someone we know takes their life. We all feel somewhat responsible.
Well, we are.
Because
We
we're
are.
like, yeah,
It's like,
because we're their community.
I mean, we can like go, oh, I can't wait for anyone to let me off the hook. If anyone can, it would be me, and I'm not letting myself off the hook because I shouldn't be let off the hook. Meaning, it should stick with me certainly enough to never let something like that happen again. If it ever passes my,
But a lot of times it's completely out of our control, you know?
yes, but
we realize
some
that
people
in that
like
moment.
control. I mean, isn't there something that a gray area between I have control and I'm being controlled? Right?
Yeah.
It's like you know a booster shot of control.
That's what we need, a booster shot of control. Okay, so you have been doing, this is one more thing I want to talk about because we're going to run out of time, but you've been doing a lot of independent films and a lot of varied work in independent films in the last few years. And the characters that you're playing sometimes are very dark. And what do you think? Okay, for example, you did a Lifetime movie recently, which is called The Girl in the Basement. And that character was one of the scariest people, and it's a true story, so it's not like it's made up or anything. And apparently, that movie doesn't even go as far as this guy, the horribleness of this guy.
I mean, I sense your question is how do you play a character like
Yeah,
that?
I didn't even get to the question. Yeah,
Basically,
well, I don't know how. I think it does benefit the world because people are aware of this thing that can happen and the darkness of human beings and how we have to be aware of each other, like you're saying.
Good. And
but
also, villains, for the most part, don't think they're villains.
Right.
I mean, Pol Pot, not such a great guy.
Yeah.
Are you kidding me? What a just self-genocidal maniac, right? It's like, what's that? It's like, so does he think he's a villain? No. He thinks he's making his homeland better. It's like, oh, wow, no. I mean, it's like these things happen left and right all the time. So, we at our own peril, again, if we don't look at things that are happening that are horrible. Yeah. It's like a magnificent movie called Blackfish about
I still have not seen it. I still can't see it. I saw the dolphin one, and that was so painful.
Yes, painful for you. Yeah, you're watching a movie. Painful for the killer whales because
Oh my God! Yeah, they have to know about it. I mean, for sure.
I mean, and I think it's the kind of movie that we should have every junior high school show to their kids. Yeah, they'll be sad and Buffalo. It's like, but I don't know. I mean, we're a lot better off because of that Scandinavian young woman, Greta Thunberg, telling us that we might not want to burn the planet down. And she actually got us all listening, and then COVID, and now we're 3 times worse. So, what do you think? So to cause, now this is a political question. We don't generally talk politics on this show, but to cause change in the world, a change of mind in everyone in the world, so that we can accomplish something like stopping global warming or stopping, violence, stopping wars. Does some major event have to happen where everybody suddenly looks at it and goes, "Oh my God, this is horrible. We got to stop it." Yeah. Forced perspective, or
I guess
some moment that makes us all
because we're all just asleep while we watch all this stuff happen, and we don't necessarily feel the immediacy of it.
I mean, I think it's like microcosm, macrocosm. That if you look at the way people treat each other, all that not so good behavior is exacerbated when we look for leadership anywhere. It's like we learn that if we can get away with it, it's okay. This is a horrible, horrible, horrible lesson. It should be that first and foremost got to go because, we are all responsible for ourselves.
Yep.
And we must not blame anyone but ourselves. And it's like, I think that people are going to keep sacrificing each other to hold on to power. And it's just sad, man. It's just sad. You would have thought that this pandemic, the whole world going through the same thing, the whole world, we could call Iceland. You could call Tasmania, whatever. When it all first started, when we all realized we're under the same umbrella.
Yep.
And instead, each state leader separated their state from those near them in any number of political or social or fascist or racist ways. It's like, what a chance we had. It's like when the computer was first given to us as something we could bring home and use like a reference library at home. And people like you tell me what the hell I'm doing wrong with everything. It's like, but I mean, it's like crazy. It's like it could have brought us all together and it didn't. It just separates us. And, we are metadata. Like,
do you think that that's just as far as we've evolved as human beings? I always want to look at the fact that we're a civilization and we're always trying to be more civilized, hopefully. And maybe we just haven't gotten there yet. Sometimes I look around, true. I'm just like, maybe we haven't.
The long game. What is the long game? I mean, I tell you, we have no idea really how our brain works yet.
Yeah. Do we? Geniel in our chat room says things will be better soon when we're extinct.
Well, certainly better for all the other animals, Certainly better for that. I think killer whales be a lot happier.
Yeah, I think so too. I saw. What?
I mean, I think that people have to, it's like this idea. This Smedley Butler was the highest decorated Marine in World War I, who in fact was chairman of the Joint Chief of Staffs under FDR, who was approached by George Herbert Walker Bush's father, the Senator Prescott Bush, to maybe overthrow FDR. Mm-hmm. Who knows? It was a craziness. But Smedley Butler wrote a small book called War is a Racket.
Yeah.
It's just awesome. And it's all about how let's let the soldiers decide if we go to war. And no one can make more money than a soldier. No industrial fat cat, no nothing. It's like, who would want to go to war then?
No. It's so true. Well, Judd, this has been so great having you on the show. I have to wrap it up, but you're one of the things about you.
Anytime, man.
You're such a thoughtful person.
Flip me.
What did you say?
You're in a dojo. You'll come after me and flip me.
That's right. I'm working on my I don't know what I'm working on. Karate?
MMA.
Karate?
No, that's probably Thai boxing.
Yeah. What about you were quite an athlete when you were younger. Are you looking towards anything like that?
Play with medicine balls and climb the rope.
Yeah.
That was our exercise.
That was your exercise. Fanny says that you need a podcast. You need your own podcast.
I hope that's a beverage, really.
I think that might be a steep slope for Judd, but I'll help him for sure. But anyway, this has been so great. I just want to tell one quick story about your character. I invited you over to watch the Super Bowl in, I think it was 2015, which I would never do because the Seahawks were playing New England, and you're a New England guy, and I'm a Seahawks guy. And so the Patriots and the Seahawks are playing, and we watched the whole thing, and we were, it was very exciting. And at the very last play, we were going to win the game. We were going to win the game.
You had to win.
They were going to hand the ball to Marshawn Lynch. He was going to run across the line, and we were going to win the game.
Yeah.
And what happened was not that. We passed the ball in a very short fashion right to the other team, and the game was instantly over, and we instantly lost. And it's a huge testament to you because you just got up right after that play happened, and you turned off the TV, and you said, you don't want to watch that. And that just shows to me what a giving person you are, that you were thinking about me in that moment rather than you guys won the Super Bowl.
It's like Stanislavski says, everything is psychophysical, right? You hear a huge crash. Your first thought is, am I okay? Right? So I turned the TV off because 10 seconds before I was watching that with my team in my head. And I'm like, you don't got to see that, man.
You're really not going to want to watch
that. Moment for everyone in Seattle. I can't believe we were so lucky in that game. It's crazy.
That's great. Ginil says someday you got to come with us to India, which Judd has been invited to India. He was invited to our wedding, but he sometimes doesn't want to fly that far, I don't think.
Well, I just couldn't believe you really were going to India to get married. And I need to see those photographs of you on an elephant.
Yes.
It's like a 3-day, 4-day wedding. It's like, my goodness.
That was crazy. But, so next time, maybe you'll come with us.
You have one of the most beautiful mother-in-laws in the history of mother-in-laws.
Yes, I do. That's very good. There's a plug for my mother-in-law, Liz. One of the most beautiful.
Wife,
Yes. Well, it definitely is inherited. Okay, so thank you so much
Thank you
for
very
being
much,
here,
man.
and we'll see you soon. You're welcome on the show at any time, of course. Of course.
When are you going to perform next?
I'm going to get out there. This is something that I've put in my agenda now that I'm triple vaxxed. I'm going to get back out there soon. I haven't booked it yet.
Various patches all over me.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, I think that's good. All right, so we'll see you later, Judd.
Thank you for having me.
Thanks
man.
so much. And we're going to dance it out. See you later. All right, everybody, that was Judd Nelson gracing the lunch therapy stage. So good to see him, and what an insightful person, what a good-hearted person, and a huge talent. I'm really looking forward to seeing what he does next, because I think there's going to be something coming soon for him on the level of something like Succession or something. That's how I envision it. And this is my cat, Charlie Brown. Judd was earlier saying that it looked like Charlie Brown had passed away, but no, he has not passed away. He is just setting a great example for all of us in relaxation. And I want to check out the chat room here. So great having all you here. Please share this around because I know there's a lot of people interested in Judd and what he's been up to. Lots of people saying nice things here. Howard says, when do you want to hand the ball to a man named Beast Mode? I know. It's a terrible decision. Dude, how did you get a booster? I just went to a site that said it's my something. I wish I knew. Maybe I'll put it in the show notes. Thank you, Charles Goldsmith, for sending a super sticker and helping to fund the show. Really appreciate that. Ben McKnight. Awesome, all the way from Australia. All right, so 300th episode is on Tuesday. And I expect... Oh, thanks, Fanny, for coming to your first lunch therapy. That's fantastic. Please come again Tuesdays and Fridays at noon. Anytime that you feel like dropping by, please do. And just put a chat in the room there. Jack says he has the same kind of cat, except his name is Memphis, and he's a jerk. Well, Charlie can be a jerk, too. I mean, to be fair. So if you have a congratulations video or something that you want to put on the show for Tuesday, please go to my website, joelmarshall.com, upload something just saying, hey, you can even make it on your phone. And we will see you on Tuesday for that. But right now we're going to dance the way out with a great YouTube artist named Jake Coco. I played this on the show before, but it's so darn uplifting that I'm going to play it again. Here we go.
Give me a second, I need to get my story straight. My friends are in the bathroom.
Thanks, everybody.
Getting higher than the
I just think this is so happy, this song.
Waiting for me just across the bar. My seat's been taken by some sunglasses, asking about a scar. And, well, I know I gave it to you months ago.
So on Tuesday, we're going to have all kinds of people come back, check in with them. If you've been on the show before, or maybe even if you haven't been on the show before, contact me, because I'd love to have you come on, do some live chatter, and we're just going to just have a blast. That's the goal.
I'll carry you home.
This is the fun part. We got to get my dance partners.
found someone to carry me home tonight. We are young, so let's set the world on fire. We can burn brighter than the sun.
Yeah, where is that? All right, thanks everybody for joining me and Judd. This has been Lunch Therapy 299.